remember thinking, wow, still 14 minutes. Where do you make up 14 minutes? And then as it was getting closer, and I remember that day, as soon as I come over the line, my wife was there, and I was like, check his time. Because I knew it was 2:26 high, like, and then she was like, oh, Michael, you're not going to believe this. And I was like, what? She was like, it's 1 second quicker. And I was like, he knew that I wasn't going to beat it again until Dublin the next year. So he used to be like, I have it for another year. I was like, So I want to beat him more than anyone.
You must have been right in that starting line, because as you're crossing, you can see the clock above it, just that 1 second. It's a phenomenal photo, especially the story behind it.
Yeah, it's class. Like, it's class, and he's been such a big, massive part of my life for years. Like, even when I wasn't running and I was in Australia, I would have phoned him a few times a week, like, just about life, about everything. He's like a father figure to me. Like, so he's such a big part of my life, and there's a wee small part of you like, feel a bit crap taking this off him, like. But at the same time, you're like, nah, do you know what? He's loving this as much as I am. Like.
Was he there for you when you got back into it straight away then for your first marathon back in 2018 in Dublin?
I come home fat and just surprise landed into him, and I swear now, if he came hear this, he looked me up and down and was like, what am I supposed to do with you?
That's great encouragement to get started again.
He just looked me up and down, and I was like, I want to get back running. He was like, what am I supposed to do with you? Look at you. But yeah, he did.
Beep in reverse.
Yeah.
And there is a special bond, I suppose, when you look at coaches and stuff, and there's an element of trust you put in them, and that comes both ways, doesn't it? Like, you are trusting him where he's saying, go and put it in this tempo, we're going far, like, we're going miles, we're going big, and you're putting everything into him. And from his perspective, they're putting everything into you as well, because like that, they want to see you be better. You see,
that's the weird thing. I call him my coach, and he's been our club coach for years. But I self-coach. I do all my own training, all my own. He never ever tells me what to do. Like, so, like, from I got it back into running and doing marathons, he's never told me a session to do, a weekly mile. The first and only thing I asked him when I decided to do a marathon was like, how many miles a week should I be running? And now when you think of that question, you're like, how fucking stupid. But his answer was just like, as many as you can do without getting hurt and without going nuts. And I was like, right. And that was it. Like,
I would question the not going nuts part, because you also had another post where you hit 1,000 miles, and you said, my first 1,000 miles this year, you put up on your Instagram post. I'm like, how long ago was this? And looked down the date, and the date was March 14th. So, like, in like 2.5 months, you had racked up over 1,000 miles. And I'm like, and like, you went from that to running another 4 marathons this year. Like, and I jumping well forward now with your current injury. Do you feel like there's when people talk about burnout and stuff, do you feel like they don't push themselves further enough? They're not training right to get further enough? Or what's your thoughts on that? Because you do a hell of a lot of mileage each week, and you manage to do phenomenal times in those 4 marathons, as well as a half marathon out in Antrim.
Yeah, look, I think, you see the whole thing with burnout, right? People are looking at that. I think there's a lot of people training at the moment, right? Now, I'm no expert. I'm not a professional athlete or claim to be one of the best, but there's so many people, and they're getting so hung up on all the fancy stuff, the sessions, the hard stuff, and I'm putting a lot of my stuff out there at the minute because I'm trying to get it across to more and more people. If you look at a certain person on social media, for instance, and they've ran a 2:20 marathon, you just assume that this is graft and it's hurt and it's sessions and it's tempos and fartleks and mile reps and all. I don't do none of that stuff, none of it. And the whole process of going from being fat was actually a good thing, because you learned how to enjoy running, just enjoy going out, running.